listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I'm your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, Samael. Welcome to episode 72, Devil in the Details.
Yeah, and today we're going to be discussing portrayals of the devil, Lucifer, Samael, whatever you want to call him, in horror movies and TV shows as well.
Yes.
So that's going to be pretty cool. Basically, the whole show is going to be dedicated to that topic, so we've got some pretty cool movies lined up. But first, as always, we do have to give a shout out to our gracious host network, Sports Radio Detroit.
And you can find them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just look up SRD Sports Radio Detroit. That's SRD Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio.
Exactly, guys. So check them out. You can see all of the other awesome shows on the network. And we are going to just take a very brief break for a sponsored message, so stick around. Here at Grave Discussions, we know that addiction can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Detox Helpline help you break your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're always available for you, and if you have private insurance, they specialize in finding you the right treatment. Give them a call at 1-800-213-9257. That is 800-213-9257.
All right, Samael. So a lot, as always, has been going on in the world of horror since our last episode, and we've actually gotten a ton of awesome trailers. We couldn't quite, fit them all into this episode, but we've got some highlights. First, however, is this morsel of news. James Wan at it again. This fucker. He's coming back now to produce an I Know What You Did Last Summer pilot for Amazon.
Yeah, I heard about this about a week or so ago. I did not know how I felt because you need Freddie Prinze Jr., you need Sarah Michelle Gellar, and you need that typical bubbly teenage cast, not to mention Jennifer Love, huge tits.
Yes.
But you need that. Those guys are the spirit of the 1990s, and with how annoying teenagers and people are in movies nowadays, I don't know what to expect with this one, especially now since James Wan's hopping on the hey, let's do this train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I will say this much: all of those Scream ripoff movies from the 2000s, they couldn't really do it like Scream. Scream essentially is so special because it was kind of the original.
Yeah.
Right? So even now with the TV series, arguably not as good as the movies, obviously, but still holds that kind of weight. Even in modern day, it's relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's typically received as good. But I Know What You Did Last Summer, those sequels.
Yeah.
All right. They were not good.
No.
Really. And I'm a little worried about them trying to bring it back modern day now. So yeah, you're right. I mean, teenagers now kind of suck.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be that interesting.
It was cool with Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer or whatever, because it was the 90s / early 2000s when people were generally likable in an era where everyone was kind of likable, even if they were douchebags.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone's extremely unlikable. I hate seeing teenagers in TV shows nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'm ecstatic when they all die.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm right. Yes.
So yeah, guys, be on the lookout for that. Once we have more information, we'll let you know, of course. And this next article...
It's fucking stupid.
Oh, man.
I hate you, all of you.
Yeah, fuck off. So basically, there was a petition started to move Halloween to the final Saturday in October.
Why?
And over 100,000 people have already signed it or something. That's nothing.
That is nothing.
Well, it's enough for people to look at it and stuff, but I don't really think people are gonna do that, man. Like Hallmark would never allow it. First of all,
Yeah.
that's like a lot of their money, I'm sure. I don't know, dude. And all the fucking candy companies and everything. Like,
It would fuck everything up, really.
first of all, it's always been the 31st of October.
And like culturally, traditionally, religiously for the pagans.
Yeah, and it's I guess the reasoning is that it's safer, it's going to be better for like the kids or whatever, because it might not fall on a weekday where they have to do it like right after school or something, or I don't know, dude.
That was the most fun, even like going to school dressed as
Exactly.
vampires and Frankenstein.
So many generations of kids have had to do it exactly like that. So your kids can do it too. Like, chill out.
Yeah,
Respect the
stop.
tradition.
Stop being pussies
Exactly.
about everything, all right? Relax. There's things you have to fight for, and there's stuff like, yeah, I'm offended that Halloween's not on your weekend. Like, eat a dick. No one cares about your fucking trivial bullshit.
I mean, it's like this for a reason. It was started like this with Samhain and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tradition. And nobody's asking to move Christmas or anything like that either.
Yeah, even though
And
Christmas is another story.
right.
Not even the right day.
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? So it's like we could, but Halloween, not really.
Yeah, because it's
It has no
always been
problem.
October 31st.
Right. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. It's pretty dumb. It's the 31 days of Halloween. First of all, I don't know. Let us know what you think about that story, guys. But personally, not a fan.
Yeah, fuck off.
Next up, also Halloween related news. Going back to Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, there's a new bit of news that was kind of left out of the initial report.
Yeah. So, Nick Castle confirms that he is returning as Michael in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, but he's probably only returning for another small cameo because it's already been confirmed that James Jude Courtney is going to be returning as the Shape.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, it's got to be like a cameo, appearance just to please everybody, because there's no way that they would use both of them. As we kind of discussed, it'd be weird for like, I don't know, them to pull like double duty basically.
I mean, he's still, even Nick Castle's like 5 inches shorter than James Jude Courtney. I'm sure with boots and lifts, he can be his height, without James Jude Courtney having boots on, but like...
You shouldn't have to do that just for fan service though, honestly. Like, I'm all for it sometimes, but...
Maybe they're like trying to do it as like an Easter egg, like find Nick Castle in like 15 years, and people be like, hey, do you know the original Michael was in this movie and in this movie? They're like, no way, where? Right here for this one scene.
I mean, I know you'd be super into that whole thing, so...
Yeah.
It will be cool. I mean, I guess that's probably what they're going to do anyway. Like, you might be able to distinguish Nick Castle right away.
Oh, yeah.
But some people might not, so it'd be kind of a cool thing to talk about. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm here for it. It happened already. Might as well keep it going. So we've got a few trailers here, guys, and then we're going to get into our very first official segment. These trailers all, I think, look pretty sweet this week.
I agree.
I'm actually really excited about this first one. This is for the new Robert Eggers film, the follow-up to The Vivitch, The Lighthouse.
Starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, you wanted to see Willem Dafoe in like some crazy-ass role
Yeah.
in a horror movie, so here you go.
We already saw him in a normal role in Antichrist. He wasn't really the crazy person. Now his voice is all scraggly, and him and Robert Pattinson are choking each other and screaming at each other in the trailer. Bro, Robert Pattinson is so underrated because of the Twilight movies that people like overlook it, but I'm glad now that he's stepping into like the independent horror world where like he made his money off of Twilight and now he actually wants to like act where he can show his skills, because like, Twilight was this teenager drama that came out when we were in like early high school days,
Mhm.
So like all the teenage girls like that and whatever, but his ability to shine was not shown, and that's what I didn't like in those movies. And now he's having like this existential role, I want to say, like it seems like. So we'll see, man. I hope he does good, because he's gonna do good. He's even gonna do good as Batman, and people are gonna be shocked.
I think so too, man, honestly. Like, I've been kind of touting his praises, recently, because he's been in a bunch of A24 stuff.
Yeah.
He was in like Good Time. He was great in that movie. I haven't seen it yet, but High Life, where he's like the astronaut or whatever, looked good. I'm sure he gave a good performance in that. So
He's underrated, man. He's always going to be underrated because his name is going to be attached to Twilight. He's not Edward Cullen.
yeah, right.
You know what'd be cool? If he came back, listen to me, Edward. Listen, Hollywood, if you're listening, bring him back, right, as a vampire, but as like a cool-ass vampire. Like one of those demonic vampires from like The Lost Boys and Fright Night.
I can get behind that. We're getting a little off topic though.
I'm just saying.
No, that would be fire for sure. But yeah, the lighthouse looks sweet. If you guys aren't familiar, it's actually shot on 35 millimeter black and white stock, so it's like authentic black and white, and it's shot in an aspect ratio actually contemporary to like, I think it's the 20s or 30s or 40s or something like that. And so it's got that authentic feeling because it actually takes place in the 1890s. So they have this like weird like New England accent. You know, I'm sure you noticed it.
Oh yeah, from William especially.
Yeah, and it's got that almost cube-like aspect ratio. So it's going to be really interesting. The trailer looked sick, and I'm really excited about this movie. It's coming out October 18th in limited theaters.
Hopefully we can find one of them in Michigan.
I hope so, man. I'll go to it immediately.
If not, then I'm pirating it. No, I'll buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray like I always do for every damn release that's been released.
Yeah, I think Robert Eggers is going to show up. So I'm going to do the same thing. I think it'll be worth a buy. This next movie also actually looks very good in my opinion. It's kind of an indie hit. It's called Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Seemed more like a fantasy crime drama than a horror movie. So.
I did see those horror elements in there.
It seemed honestly, it felt like a Del Toro movie.
Yeah, it's kind of been compared to like early Del Toro stuff,
like Devil's Backbone.
Exactly, which you gotta watch.
I did.
Oh, you did.
I watched it yesterday.
Did you like it?
That shit was not what I expected,
but it was good, right?
Yeah, that shit was really good.
Yeah,
depressing, but good.
Yeah, it was very dark. Like that and Pan's Labyrinth are kind of companion pieces, but I digress. Tigers Are Not Afraid kind of has that same style. Follows this group of orphans whose parents were all killed by like drug cartels in Mexico, and basically they come across the ability to wish for any three things they want, and so it kind of follows their journey as they try to survive. It looks very creative, probably very depressing as well.
Yeah, it seems like one of those, just like Devil's Backbone. It really has that Del Toro feel, yo.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see what he says about this movie, but I mean, apparently it did receive praise from him and Stephen King.
Oh,
so
yeah, then I knew Del Toro would love this shit.
Yeah, exactly. So be on the lookout for this one, guys. Directed by, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but Issa Lopez. And yeah, August 23rd in limited theaters. The last one is probably the most blockbuster horror movie on this list. The new Blumhouse production, The Hunt.
And Ike Barinholtz from Mad TV is in it.
Yeah. I like that guy, man.
I like him too, but I just haven't seen him in anything in forever.
You got to watch the new Twilight Zone. He's actually in one of the episodes.
Oh, okay.
And he has a good role. He's sick.
I've been missing it.
Yeah. But also, dude, Dennis from It's Always Sunny.
I noticed.
One of the rich
He's one
guys.
of the one percenters, yeah. He was sitting in that airplane or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, so Glenn Howerton's also in this. He's not like one of the main dudes. Hilary Swank is like the main antagonist. And then one of the actresses from Glow is also in this movie. She's actually like the, I guess, final girl. At least that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, the blonde one definitely seems like it.
Yeah, so that's Betty Gilpin. And it looks pretty cool. It looks like it's got a good cast. I mean, the cinematography and stuff like didn't wow me, but it looks like it could be a fun sort of, I don't know, Hunger Games style movie, you know?
Yeah, like some like Hunger Games / Battle Royale type shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not like on an island.
Exactly.
It's in like fucking Arkansas or
Croatia.
Arkansas.
It's at HR, Hrvatska. That's Croatia.
Yeah, so just some like crazy in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
European town. Of course, it has to be. So yeah, September 27th in theaters. That one's coming out. And that's going to be it for the news, guys. Stick around. In our first official segment, we have got a classic horror film. I guess this one's probably considered quite a bit of a classic. It's going to lead off our discussion about portrayals of the devil. We're going to do that in the Cult Corner. And in this week's Cult Corner Fiends, we have a truly devilish classic. I would definitely consider this movie a cult classic now just by its general reputation, but The Devil's Advocate from 1997.
Starring Keanu Reeves and one of the greatest to ever do it, Al Pacino.
Yeah, and I definitely have some thoughts about that for sure, but why do you think this movie is a cult classic?
I think Al Pacino's performance as, John Milton / Satan, I think Al Pacino's the one who started this like eccentric devil persona, because back in the day, as you see from like the Twilight Zone, The Howling Man, the devil was like this guy in a cape and horns, and he was just like a liar and malicious and that type of stuff. Like he just had an evil look to him, as opposed to John Milton. He was the more like low key, eccentric, super energetic, really happy kind of guy that you really wouldn't expect to be the devil. And then he brought in some existential questions at the end to Kevin and rants about God and about how, Satan doesn't like control anyone. He just sets the stage. You make your own choices, this and that. And like, I mean, we see after this, like there's a lot more movies that tried to like, not movies, but even in TV, like they tried to emulate that Satan persona about like, oh, free will and, things of that nature. Like this was the more eccentric. Once you figure out he was Satan, he was out there with it. He was just giving everything away, explaining everything. He didn't try to like stick to his mystique, be mysterious or anything. He's just like, all right, look, this, and here you go. He was just really, really out there once Kevin figured out who he was.
Yeah, exactly. Because before that, I wouldn't really say it was completely obvious. Obviously, we know that he is, just with prior knowledge, but
yeah.
If you weren't watching this movie with any of that prior knowledge, really before like that church scene, I mean, you might have guessed like, all right, something's weird with this guy, but
oh yeah,
I don't know if you would have known that he was the devil.
That church scene was so badass.
It was cool, yeah, but I did want to say, you were right, because a lot of portrayals in cinema of the devil before this movie, he was portrayed as like very evil and powerful and malicious, like you said, and I think it was just trying to be sexy.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, heavily inspired by Paradise Lost, John Milton.
Yeah, exactly.
That connection, inspired by Dante's Inferno and Faust. So, the devil kind of is a combination of all these sort of influences, but a lot of them are very similar.
Oh yeah.
He's very like conniving, scheming. You figured logically, he would probably want to be unassuming.
Yeah.
And I mean, the appeal is obviously Al Pacino, but his character is pretty unappealing. I don't want to say unappealing, but it just doesn't have that same like gravitas or I don't know, just eye-catching. Like in a movie we'll talk about a little bit later, but in Legend,
yeah,
right? Satan, darkness, whatever, very imposing,
exactly,
etc. And Al Pacino in this movie, not so much. Like, yeah, he's a big shot lawyer who can speak like all these different languages, and he's very seductive for some reason, even though, sorry, Al, you weren't bringing it in that movie or anything, maybe a Scarface, but anyway, not to insult him or anything, I'm just saying objectively.
Okay, yeah.
But, so he has this like weird aura about him, like, there's something different about this guy.
Yeah.
But it's just not immediately obvious. So I think that was actually done really well, but I almost kind of wish that it didn't take so fucking long to get to that point either.
Yeah.
It's just these like very, very subtle hints that when you realize it and then you go back and you're like, oh, okay, I mean, I guess it makes sense why that would have happened.
Yeah.
So the whole movie was very like that to me, and I think this was actually like my first real watch of this movie. So that's kind of how I felt, leading up to the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But that last 30 minutes was pretty good. It may have been a little bit too long. They were just like standing around talking. Satan was trying to convince Keanu Reeves to join him or whatever. But that was a cool scene, very iconic scene.
You have to join me, but also fucking impregnate your sister with the Antichrist.
Right. Yeah, that would have been a little shady for me.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
But a well-written, well-acted scene.
The one where John Milton gives his speech about God, it seemed like he was just giving Keanu like an acting lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like to me.
I mean, I feel you. Al Pacino really came through. I mean, he was definitely the star of this movie, but Keanu Reeves was no slouch.
No, he
did
wasn't.
a really good job. You know, Charlize Theron, 21 years old.
For real?
Yeah.
She did look
filming those.
young.
And Keanu was 31. She did a great job too, though.
Yeah, and like they're like, you kind of see their like relationship deteriorate throughout the movie, and like how Satan told him, you know, you could have saved her. All she wanted was love, but you were involved with someone else, yourself, you know, like, and this whole movie was about, even at the end, he says, vanity, definitely my favorite sin.
Yeah, it played the whole, you know, Satan thing very well.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It just wasn't overt until the very end. And really, throughout the movie, like, yeah, it was weird with the demons and everything, but you could have gotten anything from that,
Yeah.
you know, leading up to
He could have been a
that
warlock.
last scene. Right, or, you know, whatever. But no, we mostly saw it through Charlize Theron's character's perspective, Marianne's,
Yeah.
which was interesting, I guess, because she was meant to be like the good guy in the situation ultimately. But yeah, I don't know. I thought she did a great job. It was very interesting. But, you know, the first 2 hours, though, still really kind of felt like a courtroom drama to me.
Yeah, it really was. Other than the weird shit going on, like Eddie Barzoon getting killed by homeless people,
Yeah.
and like people just like trying to get involved with Kevin, and then they end up dying.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know what was one thing that I kind of thought was weird about this movie? I mean, apart from it being very ambitious, which maybe at times kind of didn't help it, but there were some scenes where it was like obviously green screened.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, so I wasn't too sure about those scenes, but for the most part, the movie visually looked good. You know, cinematography was nothing special for me,
No, same, yeah.
but in concept and general, like execution, because it was adapting a book, I think it did a good job. I totally understand why it's a cult classic. The performances mainly, I think, and the twist, you know, but man, it's a long movie.
Yeah, it's pretty long. For me, I didn't really realize how long it was, because like I was too like enveloped in the story, you know.
Mhm.
Like I just wanted to figure out like what's the point of all this. So I kind of was asking myself like, all right, now he's a lawyer, he's in New York, and then his mom comes along and drops the bombshell that his boss is his dad.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and then the woman that you've been like pining after this whole time is your half sister, which is weird as well. But I'm actually, I will admit, I'm not sure when the book came out, but I did want to ask if you thought if there were any sort of angel heart inspirations or influence here.
Oh yeah, the thing, Satan going full Satan after the protagonist finds out he's Satan.
Yeah.
Like as soon as Keanu Reeves found out, like, you know, then Al Pacino was like, aha. And then when Mickey Rourke found out that Robert De Niro was like, Louis Cypher, Lucifer, even your name is a dime store joke. And then Robert De Niro gives my favorite line in all of these devil movies. He goes, Mephistopheles is such a mouthful in Manhattan, Johnny. Like, I fucking love that.
Yeah.
I think you could argue that, like, Angel Heart and Devil's Advocate are in the same universe, just maybe just different personas he takes on. Because, like, you saw he had a lawyer, a wine sap in Angel Heart, and he killed him. Same thing in Devil's Advocate. He killed Eddie Barzoon. That was one of his lawyers. So, like, he probably infiltrated that system because he saw how dirty it was. And then, I don't know, man. It can really tie in, especially De Niro and Pacino. Like,
yeah, and, you know, we saw that he could actually shapeshift, essentially, too. So, hey, man, if it's a movie conspiracy theory, I'm behind it. You know, I'm into that. I mean, you know, like I said, I don't know when the book was written. But
listen to this. Where does Angel Heart take place? New York, Manhattan. Where does Devil's Advocate take place?
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's...
Plus, he went to Louisiana in Angel Heart, too, so he can just be anywhere, really. He's literally like a gazillion years old. He can probably do what he wants.
Devil's Advocate, you know, Keanu's from Florida.
Yeah, he's a Southern belle.
Yeah. So hey, I don't know, but that would be an interesting theory for sure. I will say though, De Niro's performance for me, I love it. I like it a lot better than Al Pacino's. Al Pacino's great. He did a fantastic job. Personally, I get the whole devil being, like a kind of unassuming, conniving trickster or whatever.
But like the Angel Heart
guy,
one, he was just like calm, swag.
But he was still witty.
He was witty as fuck, and he was always like 10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
He knew what was going on the whole time. He hinted to fucking Johnny Favorite what was going on, or Harry Angel. Yeah. He hinted to him the whole time what was going on. And like, he wouldn't believe him, He thought this was just some fucking freak, trying to get his money or whatever the fuck.
I mean, there were definitely foreshadowing moments in Devil's Advocate as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like I mentioned, though, kind of, to me at least, they weren't as obvious. Because, I mean, even De Niro as Lucifer, clearly there's something up with this guy that maybe is not human. He's got those fucking nails.
And then that fucking pentagram ring.
Yeah.
He has a cane. He has really long hair. That thick-ass evil-looking beard.
Yeah. I mean, John Milton's got it right, too, though, Fucking lawyers are the worst. And if the devil was going to be any profession, he probably would be a lawyer. So,
I don't know. I don't think he'd want to be out there that much.
Well, but, again, though, he's very, VIP status.
Oh, yeah, but...
So...
I don't know, maybe nowadays he just gets sick of it, He's, devil is pretty much basically obsolete nowadays, so...
Or, he's hiding in plain sight, but, yeah, I mean, there is the show Lucifer, though.
That shit.
Let's talk more about it, though, when we really transition into our main segment. We're going to do that very, very soon here, but yeah, Devil's Advocate, great film, totally understand why it is a cult classic. For me, the courtroom drama stuff that takes up most of the film, not my favorite, so I probably won't rewatch this, but
for me it was with Marianne and Kevin. That was the big thing for me.
Yeah.
And then finding out that John Milton was his father was the first twist, and the second twist was that he's a fucking angel of death.
If that was the whole movie for me, perfect, but yeah, that's all I have to say about the Devil's Advocate, Sam. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to move on. So stick around, guys. Once again, we have some very brief sponsor messages, and we'll be back with more devilish horror content on Grave Discussions.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Bryant. Catch me, E, and Brian on Pearson's Piece, 8 to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio Detroit Network, CRB, on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere else you can find podcasting.
Hey, Samael.
Hey, Barnabas, what's up?
Oh, not much. Have you ever written a book?
No, but I've written a musical.
Oh, well, you can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company.
Aha, I hear countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their books to the market.
Their professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, their authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books.
So, make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Do not wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author.
And seeing your name in print.
Aha! You've already written a book. Next thing to do is make this free call now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
The number is 1-800-213-9259. Again, 1-800-213-9259. Welcome back, sinners. We are resuming our discussion on portrayals of the devil here on Grave Discussions. So we were talking about the show Lucifer before the break. So Sam, I know you're very obviously invested in all of these sorts of things in horror. So how does the portrayal in the Lucifer show kind of compare to at least the ones that we've talked about so far in Devil's Advocate and in Angel Heart?
Doesn't really compare. In those, he's conniving, manipulative. He wants what he believes he's due. He's kind of like smug, full of himself. In the TV show, he's kind of like literally the Hollywood Satan. Angry at God, his dad, for being banished, for, exercising his free will and not wanting to like take part in like the bullshit that God has going on over there. He wants his freedom from his dad. He wants nothing to do with him. He doesn't want his dad to be involved in his life. He doesn't want to rule hell anymore. He doesn't lie in the TV show too, so that's the main difference. Like, he doesn't lie. He doesn't like manipulate people, but he is selfish, egotistical. He's full of himself, but he's like emotionally scarred in the Lucifer TV show. He has like all these existential questions and wondering if his dad is manipulating him and wondering like what his purpose is. And, he loves the detective Chloe, and there's a lot of external forces at play that make him like kind of look on the inside and really like see like what struggles he's having and why. And with every case, he tries to compare every case, like when the bad dude's finally caught, to like his own life. He'll be like he'll see the person like his dad, so he's like, oh, so you wanted to kill her because you couldn't control her. She didn't want to do what you want, and you manipulated her into doing it, making reference to God trying to manipulate Lucifer. So like he learns about himself through these cases.
Okay, so do you really feel like that's a fair portrayal?
I think it's fair, yeah, given that timeline and what happened in that timeline. It would be understandable why, he's not this evil guy who tries to commit acts of like, like evil. He's just like this regular, former angel. Yeah. That's like the main focus in the show. Like, he's a former angel who just turned into this evil guy because he had to rule over hell. And really in the show, he's not evil. He punishes people who are evil. So he's like he's justice basically, and people still view him as the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, I asked that because, I can see, I think, how some people would maybe feel like, while it's probably a good performance, it's probably a good show, the sort of figure of Satan or Lucifer was given mostly just like the Fox treatment. Yeah. It originated on Fox. And, it was a detective series, basically. I mean...
Yeah, it's a crime drama. Yeah, with supernatural elements.
Yeah, it's supernatural. It's centered around Lucifer, obviously. But a lot of it has that kind of procedural, detective show shit to it, Week in and week out, there's like a different case or whatever. But, yeah, I think it definitely stands out just because of that kind of unique portrayal. However, I still think, the portrayals of Pacino and De Niro in those movies, it fits too. So it kind of seems like Satan or Lucifer as a figure, or the devil, really could kind of take all these different forms. I mean, we've even seen it just in regular like possession movies. We don't even necessarily see the devil, but is he like the primary antagonist? Yes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, what do you think about those kind of portrayals as well?
I feel they're kind of like lazy. If anything, the devil wouldn't be busy like taking over a person. If he is like the source of all evil, and like he has to do all this plotting and stuff, I'm sure he wouldn't be possessing like a teenage girl. He'd get some lower tier demons to do it.
And which we do see in a lot of these possession movies too, but in stuff even like The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah,
Lucifer
Legion
is like one of the 6 demons or something that are possessing her, and it's like, why?
Well, then we kind of find out at the end of the movie, like, all those cuts were like self-inflicted. She had mental disorders, so
yeah, which it can be disguised as a lot of the time too, like a psychological thing.
Yeah,
which I understand that obviously throughout history the devil has risen to this status as the ultimate antagonist.
Yeah.
It's that Christian fear and all of that, yada yada, makes for, a consistent sort of all-powerful evil in these horror movies, which a lot of horror movies are about. So, but yeah, we discussed Legend earlier. That was one of the most like, what you think of the devil.
Yeah, when you
devilish portrayals.
The giant horns, red skin, evil.
Yeah, the
totalitarian, controlling.
Yeah.
Kidnaps a woman. That's what you'd expect.
Yeah, he was the Lord of Darkness, basically,
Exactly.
in the show. And as Darkness, he essentially was the exact opposite of all that is good.
Yeah.
And so in that way, I think actually was a very good portrayal. You know, whether you want to argue if Satan is really, you know, pure evil or the source of all evil or whatever, but yeah. That's what I think about that portrayal. There have been a lot of other portrayals as well. Pretty unique ones like the Prince of Darkness. John Carpenter's 1987 portrayal doesn't even feature, you know, really Satan, but like the essence of Satan.
Well, then he takes over this one chick's body, and then she goes and gets that mirror or whatever, tries to conjure Satan's dad. Which, what the fuck?
Yeah. That was pretty crazy. And Alice Cooper,
Alice Cooper
shows
was in
up
it.
for some reason. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that guy probably does know Lucifer,
Right.
for all we know. But there was that. The Witch with Black Phillip.
Yeah, Black Phillip was badass.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. Again, it's like, why does he show up in this place of all places and take a particular interest in this one girl? But
Then there's the devil in the movie Devil,
yeah,
which is the old lady.
yeah, that was interesting. I mean, that was a good film. Don't get me wrong.
It was. I don't know why people hate that film so much.
Yeah, and at least, you know, again, it's kind of a unique portrayal. It was a cool movie. You were trying to figure out what the fuck was going on the entire time.
You could never find out. I would have never suspected the old lady.
No. Yeah, I don't think I would have either. But, you know, hey, again, it's hiding in plain sight, that unassuming personality, but still a pretty unique concept. Felt very claustrophobic. You know, just different than all of the, you know, kind of suave-looking, handsome guy in a black suit, maybe with a cane, maybe not, with some kind of pointy fucking goatee.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was that sexy Satan. Now it's kind of more creative. What do you think kind of influenced that whole transition, and do you think it's better for it?
I don't know. I think the less people got religious, the less they accepted the whole Satan is this suave-looking guy who is manipulative and this and that. To like, I don't know. I think they like gave up like on that because like we've just seen it so many goddamn times, and ever since Paranormal Activity and Insidious came out, like I think that's when everyone's like, you know what? Let's make the devil take this more demonic look. He's evil. There's no doubt about it. It's not an existential question. He really is evil. He can take any form. He's not just this suave-looking guy in a black suit. You know, this and that.
Yeah, I can see that completely. I mean, horror in general has really shifted, and people's perception of it has shifted so much that you got to do something different, because with all the remakes and all that bullshit, you know, if you don't kind of separate yourself, then nobody's going to care, or they're just going to flame you on the internet.
Yeah.
So,
Which is what usually happens.
yeah. So, I mean, it's cool though. I kind of appreciate it. There's even been some interesting portrayals, like in the little known movie that I actually have seen. It was interesting. The Devil's Carnival.
I've heard of it.
From 2012.
It's about an hour long, right?
It's something like that. And I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure there's like some musical numbers in it. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's worth a watch if you're into this kind of stuff specifically. One that we haven't even mentioned yet.
Constantine.
I
knew you were gonna say that one.
Yeah, Satan, portrayed by Peter Stormare.
He was badass.
Yeah, fantastic actor. His portrayal also a little bit different because it was given that sort of comic book treatment.
Yeah.
Obviously, with it being Constantine.
I still think two of the best devils besides Louis Cypher from Angel Heart definitely has to be Lucifer from the Supernatural TV show.
Okay.
Because he's like straight up exactly what you'd expect him to be. And also,
I will cut you off real quick. I will say I don't know if I fully expect him to be walking around in like, you know, fucking opened button-down shirt.
Yeah.
And like a t-shirt underneath. But yes, can continue.
I don't know. I feel like that's what he would be. He would just be he just looked like a regular old dude.
Yeah.
But once you start talking to him, he's like, I am Lucifer. And he shows you and you're like, fuck. And then another one that's just as good is from the movie The Prophecy.
Oh, yeah.
That dude is fucking eerie.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen
Aragorn
is
himself.
fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah. I wish that he was kind of back in his heyday. I mean, he was in Green Book, which won Best Picture. So I mean, there's that. But the whole era around when he was in like this movie and when he was in Lord of the Rings, dude, that guy was great.
He's
With the long
amazing.
hair and everything. Yeah, he was a great devil.
I like the stuff he said. Like, I can lay you out and fill your mouth with your mother's feces,
Yeah,
or we can talk.
he just really didn't give a fuck
And
at all.
when he was talking to her, he's like, you see, I want to do this not because I love you, you little bitch, but because 2 hells is 1 too many.
Like the Chucky of devil
Yeah,
portrayals.
he really is.
Yeah, no, that was pretty great. I will say, I do want to see Leland Gaunt portrayed by Max von Sydow in Needful Things. In the movie specifically, I guess, actually is like Satan. In the book, I think he's just like some demon. But I do want to see that movie. I will say, besides De Niro, I think my favorite personally has to be Tim Curry's Darkness. But some other good portrayals. Didn't even mention Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah,
in The Witches of Eastwick. Also, all these like really great, like what you would consider now legendary actors portraying the devil. All right, I'll ask one more question before we move on to our last devilish selection on this episode, because we already got kind of our favorites. If you had to pick one actor, male, female, whatever, to portray the devil in a movie, who would you want to have?
Like modern day?
Yeah, if there was like a new movie.
A new movie? I would say Heath Ledger, but he's dead, so
Yeah.
let me... Alright, so I know this is going to sound a little weird.
Okay, is this like your legit pick?
I think I'd have to go with him, yo.
Okay, who is it?
Christian Bale.
Okay,
That would be nuts.
that would be really interesting, yeah.
Because he can pull off that suave shit easy. If you make him have the long hair and the beard, it's a wrap.
Just make him like Patrick Bateman, but not
Reserved.
quite as, like, obviously because he's a human, not quite as insane
Yeah.
as that, but yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think mine, I kind of had 2 in mind, but I think this one makes a little more sense. All right, I have a biased pick.
Alright,
and that would be-
give me both of yours.
the biased pick. It has to be my favorite actor of this generation, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh.
Which I mean, yeah, it could work. He's just great. But my actual pick might be Mads Mikkelsen, because I don't know, the dude just has that kind of look. He's got the menacing accent. He's got just that, I don't know, just that intimidating
Can
personality.
I change my pick?
Okay, sure.
Okay, Willem Dafoe.
I knew you were gonna like.
That would
Think
be
about that.
fucking nuts.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
That would be fucking crazy.
I think after seeing The Lighthouse, it'll just like confirm it. Like, yeah, this guy can do whatever the fuck he wants.
He's so underrated, yo. He's like one of the best actors
He's
ever.
great. Oh, he's phenomenal. All right, so I think that's about all I have to say about the devil portrayals, kind of in earnest. But we have one more selection that we're going to talk about, and this one also a pretty unique portrayal of the devil. We're going to discuss that on this week's Chopping Block. So on the Chopping Block, we examine a new horror film to hit streaming services. This week, we've got I Trapped the Devil, which just came out on Hulu. And this movie, directed by Josh Lobo, actually his debut film, stars A.J. Bowen, Scott Poitras, and Susan Teresa Burke. Now, this movie, like I kind of alluded to, also an interesting portrayal of the devil, but also kind of that unseen presence.
Yeah, because in this one, you weren't even sure what the fuck was going on until at one point he called the chick by her name.
Yeah.
But,
Which was kind of weird. Like, hey.
But, like, he could have just heard them talking upstairs.
Mm.
But then, like,
Yeah.
why would he fuck with her? Then that would, like, ruin his chances of getting out.
Yeah, so that was kind of the question of this movie was, what's actually going on here? Is this the devil? Did he actually trap the devil? Because we come across A.J. Bowen and Susan Burke's characters, Matt and Karen, who are a couple up to visit the guy's brother,
Yeah.
Steve, portrayed by Scott Poitras, and he's kind of like bugging out. He's really
He looks
freaked out and
schizo.
weird. Yeah.
He's got a whole bunch of pictures in his attic about unrelated, like, crimes. And he's, like, drawing lines from one to the other. As I live with someone with schizophrenia. They come to conclusions that make no logical sense, but in their brain, because of the way that it works, it makes sense to them.
Yeah. So that's kind of, how he's presented to the audience at first. And I mean, just seeing the movie, you're kind of like, okay, well, there's probably something going on. I'm not sure what, but maybe he's not crazy.
Yeah.
Or he is, because we don't really see like a ton of evidence, before everything kind of happens at the end that would tell us like, okay, that really is the devil or that isn't the devil. So we're kind of taking down this mental road trip of like, okay, is he telling the truth or is he just going crazy? It's definitely got that sort of mysterious factor to it. Like it wants you to really just take a guess, and it does give you some hints in the story, because obviously I won't say what it is, but at the very end, what happens kind of makes sense if you remember some certain dialogue
That he talked about, like man's evil and pure evil and why some things happen and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did talk about stuff like that, but there was actually like a clue kind of given in one of the discussions. If you guys know what I'm talking about, definitely let me know. I'll tell you about it, Sam. But no, it would be a spoiler, so I don't want to outright say it. But some interesting sort of, not Easter eggs, but hints kind of dropped here and there to suggest what could actually be going on.
Was it because they visit him out the blue?
No.
Because I remember he mentioned, he's like, you guys don't call me for 2 years, and evil manifests itself in certain ways, and I felt like someone was gonna come here for some reason and free it or whatever.
I mean, I certainly think there are actually some cool theories as to why what happened in this movie happened. So it's definitely got that sort of intriguing quality to the writing. However, a lot of it pretty slowly paced. In some areas, not really a ton going on, just sort of sitting around and talking. So that was kind of one of my gripes with the movie, but the whole time it basically does play into that, is he crazy, that whole paranoia thing. So at least it's effective in that.
Yeah.
But we haven't even talked about the aesthetics of this movie yet.
There was barely, like, the Christmas tree lighting was just made it even more depressing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just made it super creepy. And just the low lighting in every room made it that more like, I don't know, it gave it this ominous feel to it. Like I was just like something was wrong. And then like for some reason when they went to the basement and that red lighting,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I trapped the devil. Let me change these light bulbs, make them all red down here.
Yeah. We didn't actually mention that, but it does take place during Christmas too, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, interesting. I mean, I think it's just that parallel between the devil figure and the like, not holy, but Christian holiday of Christmas, but yeah, the lighting because of it was pretty cool. Just the whole set decoration was interesting because of it. It gave it some, flair, but the whole movie looks like a pretty authentic old film. They use that, either they shot on film or they use that grainy effect to achieve it. So even though it's probably low budget due to that sort of retro aesthetic, I think it absolutely feels like a cinematic film.
Yeah, definitely.
So I liked that. Was there any real relevance to actually having it with what happened in the movie? I don't know.
I think that's just completely like subjective. Like
Just
you can argue either for or against. I don't know. I just feel like it's just subjective to like how you felt,
Yeah, I liked it. Even had some of that synthy score to it.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, which was cool, but it definitely felt more of like a style choice.
This is definitely one of those experimental horror films, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of like the lack of too much dialogue, not that much exposition, and the
yeah, that's similar at times. Yeah,
felt like Hagazusa.
Yeah, sort of.
Except a lot less slow moving.
Yeah, maybe not quite as like existentially just dark and depressing as that movie and fucked up, but this one had some cool moments, mainly reserved for like the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes it felt like, though, but it had a pretty decent build up. overall, I liked how it was presented. Wasn't super relevant, but that was fine. And the story was okay. I mean, it was just the 3 characters for the most part. And so it felt kind of isolated. I don't know. I thought overall it was pretty worth a watch. And for me, it's not chopped.
Not chopped for me either. And fun fact, this was a tribute to the Twilight Zone episode, The Howling Man.
Yeah.
Where the story's basically the same.
I saw that clip. You showed me a clip before the show.
You gotta check it out.
It looks pretty sick. Yeah.
I watched the whole... after we watched I Trapped the Devil, you know, he left and stuff, and I watched The Howling Man, and that shit was badass. It was cheesy at someone's like, how'd you trap the devil? With the staff of truth.
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah. Well, you know, it's like that old school Twilight Zone, so
yeah.
that silly shit was a little more forgivable. But
I just want to know how they got him behind that door.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, maybe we'll never know. But, okay, yeah, so that one's not chopped, guys. If you have a Hulu subscription, check it out. We think it's worth it. Definitely one for kind of a slower night, I would say, if you're, into those kind of suggestions. But go check it out. Let us know what you think. You can connect with us on social media. We have a Facebook and Instagram where you can find us by our handle Grave Discussions, and then on Twitter we are GraveDiscSRD. You can also go check out the website gravediscussions.net.
And make sure you tune in next week where we do cartwheels for charity on Grave Discussions.
This has been an SRD production.